Howdy, it's springtime in the Brazos Valley, and that means it's time for Stake Your Support. This wonderful event is a night of fun and being dedicated to raising money and support for our local Brazos Valley veterans. It is proudly brought to you by Brazos Valley Cares. Now, you may be familiar with Brazos Valley Cares and the work they do supporting our local veterans, but what you might not know is how this organization started. Before Brazos Valley Cares grew into the preeminent veteran support organization here in Aggieland, BVC and Stake Your Support started with very humble beginnings. Their mission was first conceptualized by a group of Texas Aggies sitting around a fire, drinking whiskey and smoking cigars. But who better to tell this story than the original founding board members of Brazos Valley Cares?
To me, part of life, a big part of life, is what you do for others.
When 9/11 happened, I had a daughter and I wasn't a sprightly young chicken. I was so upset. I wanted to serve. I wanted to quit what I was doing and serve. So how can I serve veterans if I'm not fighting for our country directly? What are the ways that I can serve?
How do we help the people that are here in our community that are literally living and dying it every day?
My good friend Dr. Coatwall here is one of course, the reasons why I feel like we were all here together. I think Russ was kind of the glue that binds. I think Russ was in the theater and he was calling us and telling us, hey, I've got these folks at BAMC, can you help them? And I remember, I think Jim and I went there by ourselves one time, and I remember you telling us about the suicide rate. And the suicide rate was very, large at the time. And we were like, well, what can we do? And you were telling us that they were staying there really with nothing to do. And so, hey, we've got weekends free, we can help them. And so we'd bring them over here to Jim's place and we'd hunt and fish and all kinds of crazy stuff. And then we started getting into football games and basketball games and pulling the whole community together. And I think that's what everybody got to kind of together and cohesive and said, let's do something about this.
The Warrior Family Support Center was a great organization. There were things that people could do. I mean, the challenge we had is these young soldiers were coming back from theater, and so the family get a call and they go meet them in San Antonio. But then other than their medical appointments and they're trying to rehab, what are they doing?
So in the early days, I would deploy with the guys, and the guys would get injured, we'd send them back. But then after our deployment, I'd come back, I'd go to Washington, D.C., and I'd come down to San Antonio and visit all our casualties in the hospitals.
And so they built the center to help keep them out of trouble, keep them occupied. And we were just helping fund part of it, which was a great start for us.
Colonel, you're saving these people in battle that were never saved before. And all of a sudden our government is now faced with a new problem, which is people who normally would have died in battle are now surviving battle. They're coming back and we're giving them this great medical care, but they're there for months and months getting rehabilitation. And what's happening to the families? The families have no support because they weren't ready for that. And they use whatever the legislation for golf courses to create the Warrior Family Support Center, where they can't ask for donations. They can't ask for anything. It's just somehow we're supposed to magically just know what they need. And that's where you and Bentley, I mean, the two of y'all were like, hey, we need to go and support these guys because they're desperate. We're giving care to the soldiers, but the families are just stuck there. And I was stuck that it wasn't just a problem for these soldiers, it was a problem for the whole family. And I loved when we started this organization that we said, hey, this is for the veterans and their families, because the families weren't getting the support, not because no one cared about them, but because the legislation, the way the government worked, there was just no mechanism to help those families. And so we were helping them both.
And Bobby had me meet with Jim and Don and said, they're already doing it. And I said, well, why don't we have a steak and cigar dinner?
Jim, what's important to me is that when we took that leap of faith, I think out of all of us, what I remember during that period of time was that Bobby was the connector to the community and was able to sell these tables. I mean, he's not telling you that, but Bobby was instrumental because we took that leap of faith. We did. Say again?
We didn't
We did not install tables, but well, the thing is, Bobby was so well connected in the community, he made that happen. And so that's what helped to make it grow. Easy to make the decision, hard to actually go out and there and do that.
From the time we brought it to the local level, it exploded.
Well, and I would add to that, Bobby, I would say that, you know, one of the things that we were very fortunate about is this community.
So then we started having the cigar dinners at the pavilion. And so the first year, I think we raised $20,000. It cost us $10,000.
Right.
The second year, we doubled it. And then the third year, we started getting women involved. And so that's when it really took off. That's when the fundraising for us changed.
I mean, going back to why I went into the profession I did, so I became a physician because I wanted to serve others. I spent a career in the military, almost 30 years, because I wanted to serve others. And so the interesting thing about Brazos Valley is that there's a lot of individuals here that understand that service, understanding that it's incumbent upon you in your life, you know, if you have faith and you understand that what that faith is telling you is that your life is not about you, your life is about others. To me, all the interactions I've had with the guys that are here, they all understood that. And so it wasn't a magical moment. It was knowing that in contacting, you know, Jim and Don and Bentley, and that them contacting others in the community, even though I hadn't met them, that they would reach out to other friends that were like-minded. And so just because they didn't serve in the military, that wasn't the point. They were people that were willing to serve. And so that service is to a community, that service is to a nation. And so that's what I saw, and that's the type of people that were attracted to this, and the type of donors that actually came to the Brazos Valley Cares events for things. And so I don't think it was a magical moment. It was just a series of magical people, and those people are a big component or the foundation of this community.
We've worked hard to build an organization that has a livelihood, that will continue to grow beyond us. You know, it's something that this small group started around a fire, and today it is continuing to thrive and grow.
Our original board members built an incredible foundation for Brazos Valley Cares. Since 2013, BVC has raised and distributed over $1.5 million to local veterans and veteran support organizations here in the Brazos Valley. Stake Your Sport is our biggest fundraiser that fuels our ability to care for our veterans. Over the years, this event has evolved from picnic tables and paper plates to this beautiful evening of giving. Although the aesthetic of our event has changed over the years, our mission has always remained steadfast, caring for our local veterans and their families. Brazos Valley Cares is unique in that 100% of your donations this evening will go directly back to the veterans we are assisting. We are so grateful each and every one of you have showed up, not only for us, but for our local veterans here in the Brazos Valley.